Social media has 22-year-olds thinking they already failed in life. Me personally, being in like a clothing brand, you can just be like, yo, am I really just like selling t-shirts? Like, is this really it?
What is it like for you to be a creator who does it from the background of like, I feel inspired by God? I do this because I have faith in Jesus and I want to inspire people. I want to create beautiful things. I would rather be someone who loses but went all in and went for it. And not that it was necessarily easy, but working for someone else and not venturing out to do your own thing. But I would rather be willing to risk it all for the sake of what I feel like God called me to do and gifted me to do than sit on the sidelines and wait.
Like, what do you want to do? And like, what are you good at? The things that you're good at, do they align with what you want to do? And you were like sitting on a stool and you're like, no, really think about it. Like, what are you good at? Does that align?
I'm not here to espouse that business is impossible or that everyone should start a business either. I'm not on either end. But what I have realized is, howdy. Here we go, man.
Howdy.
Let's go. Well, welcome to the first ever Divine Persuasion Radio podcast. So excited that you might be tuning in from wherever you're tuning in. Today, I have one of my dearest friends on the planet, the founder of Bleecker and Green Studio, and Jonah, the brand, the one and only Corbin Crosby. Corb, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, bro. It's
This is
so
me
good to
and my
see you.
bestie Winnie.
Let's go, man. Corbin, as we always do with Divine Persuasion Studio and now with Divine Persuasion Radio, we'd love to start with, what are you thankful for today?
I'm thankful for I'm right now in my print studio, and in preparation for this, I cleaned, and it's nice and clean. So I got in this morning and it was like a stark contrast to how it is every morning, because it's just clean and nice and feeling good, and it just put me in such a great mood, and I'm so thankful that I did it. I'm feeling like ready to conquer the day right now.
Let's go, bro. I love it.
What are you thankful for?
Today, I'm thankful to be recording this podcast with you, man. It's been a long time coming. Our team has done a lot of work to get this set up, and so excited to be having the first ever episode with you. It means a lot to me, bro. Thank you for being here.
Man, I'm so hyped. We've been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, we've been talking about a podcast since before we both started companies, back in the days when we were in the Bay at PushPay, selling churches beautiful technology.
The Bay of Push Pay. What a time.
I know. I just came up with that rhyme too. I never used that before. Have you?
No, I don't talk about Push Pay a lot, honestly.
Oh man, what a time. Well, as we jump in, since you are at your studio and you have told us all it's clean and we might hear
hmm
some background noise, but I think it's worth it. Tell us a little bit about what your studio does right now, and then I'm going to ask you to give us a tour, and it's going to be great.
Okay, great. Uh, so the studio right now it's a two-part thing. It is a print, screen print and embroidery, commercial screen print and embroidery studio, complete contract customer base. We do a lot of churches, restaurants, small businesses, small brands type things. Um, Anywhere from hats to hoodies, t-shirts, beanies. We do it all. But then the second part is the part that's actually the fun part for me, is which is the clothing brand called Jonah. And I mean, right now we're not doing, in the season of Jonah we're not doing a lot of printing, but it is Bleecker and Green. The first part is the home of all screen print embroidery for Jonah, as well as where I just, do all my packaging, fulfillment, all that fun stuff.
Let's go, bro. And how long you been doing it?
So we started the brand in November 2020, and then we acquired, which is a big deal. It sounds so professional.
Acquired.
We acquired the screen print studio in November 2021.
I love it, bro. Let's
Yeah.
go. I love the story of how you started Jonah. You were living in New York City at the time and trying to figure out kind of what you wanted to do next with your life. Can you give us like your synopsis of how and why you started Jonah and a little bit of what's gotten you to today?
Yeah. Um, I mean, really, it was, so I started doing graphic design in like January or February of 2020. just out of, I was releasing music at the time and I needed
Mm-hmm.
album artwork and didn't have money to pay people to make album art for me. And so I downloaded a trial of Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. And that's what started my design journey. It was just making really bad cover art for myself. And of course, March 2020, everything shuts down. And I am just, my coffee shop that I was working at shuts down. I have nothing to do. Um, and have still been releasing music and doing graphic design for the music. And about in the summer of 2020, I released an album, an EP, which is like, just means like shorter album.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like so much work went into it. And honestly, it was so good. I worked with an executive producer for the first time, and he crushed the production. And after I released that EP, like most people would be like hyped and like, all right, let's do it. Because it was my fifth EP that I had done. And that was like the number in my head. I want to do 5 EPs within my first year of releasing music. And so that was my fifth EP, and I'd finally gotten everything. I mean, it sounds like kind of crazy to say arrogant, but like I finally in my head got everything perfect. The production was perfect. The mixing and mastering was like super high quality. The rollout was so good. Album artwork, everything was so good. And like in most people's head, it would be like, all right, let's go. Like we finally figured it out. Let's do this. But in my head, I was like, great, I did it. Like I'll never pass that. And so I'm done with music. I did my five. Number five is a banger, and I'm out. And so from that point, I was like, I don't want to do music anymore. But this like graphic design thing, these album rollouts, the video behind it, the social media, graphics and marketing, all that stuff behind it was actually what I fell in love with during the process. And so I kept that going. And for a couple months, I was just kind of doing like quote graphics and quote graphics, putting them up on Instagram. And then, sorry, this is such a long
I
answer.
love it, bro. I
And
love it. Let's go.
I put them up on Instagram, and we had one graphic specifically. Like I'm getting like 20 to 40 likes on all these graphics, which like I'm like whatever, it's who cares. But then I had one that like went viral, which was like 100 likes, and I was like, yo, let's go. And
Viral.
it went viral, and it was this thing, it was this graphic that said social media has 22-year-olds thinking they already failed in life. And then there was this it was like that text tiled on a um that text tiled on a white background, because I was like, really all I knew how to do was like tile things. And so that text tiled, but then in between all the text blocks was a smiley face, but I took out the smiley part and I put in you're doing great. And it was honestly like you were in the hoodie. It was honestly because I was trying to be Drew so bad. Like that was like my design inspo at the time, was just like smiley faces with like the mouth gone and then text in there. And I thought I was just like crushing it. But that one went like crazy. And that like concept of like you're doing great, people were just like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is, thank you so much for saying this. It's also 2020. We've all been in our house for a while at this point, for months, and all going through our things respectively. And so at that point, I was like, well, I want to like continue on this like you're doing great thing. And I knew I didn't think that was a good brand name at the time, but I was like, that'd be such a cool tagline. And so I
It
adopted that
is.
as my tagline before I even had a brand name, and was like, all right, I'm gonna start a brand. Designed a hat, called it Jonah, and put the "You're Doing Great" on the side of the hat, and that is how the brand started. Just out of quarantine, I didn't have a job at the time, just at home, off of a big viral moment for myself, you know. And that's how Jonah started.
Oh
It
man,
was it was
100
truly
likes, viral.
I was like, yo, I'm out of here. But it was truly out of it, just like I got nothing else to do. And
Yeah.
if it works, it works. Actually, that I truly didn't even think about like if it works, it works, because there's no long-term plan. It was just like, oh, this will pass the time. This is fun. And that was literally it.
It's the best, bro.
Yeah,
And I have to say, to anyone that might be listening, as your friend, I was one of the first people to buy the hat, and
you
now
were.
you got a full brand, bro. Dude, by the way, the last release that you guys did with that photo shoot, we'll make sure when we post stuff, we'll have a link to your page and to Jonah and to yourself on IG, to your website, all that. But the last photo shoot and drop that you guys did was so beautiful, bro. And it's
Thanks,
wild to
man.
even be listening to this story again because it's been a while since we talked about it. But it's so wild to think of how far you've come from small
Hmm.
beginnings. Literally, as you said, you didn't even have a long term plan. And then you have a full brand with followers on Instagram and people consistently buying all your collections. But can you speak a little bit about that last collection that you did? Because I think it'll be cool for people to go back and see all the photography, all the
Oh
video,
man,
and the designs.
that's like it's like my Sistine Chapel right now. Like
Let's
I
go.
love that thing. I post about it so often, and we're like what, I don't know, 3 months removed, and I'm still like doing like Instagram stories, like look at this shoot. And I love it so much. But it was literally just it was one of the first shoots where I don't even know the best way to say. That's like all the brands I follow, all the brands I love, all the campaigns I love are what that shoot is. Like
Mm-hmm.
the vintage car in a cool neighborhood with cool people wearing cool clothes. And I've always wanted to do a shoot like that, but never was able to execute it. And I don't know what it was in a couple months ago where all the pieces kind of came together. I have a videographer that I work with, and he did all video, and he just absolutely crushed it. And we're at a point now where it's just like I'll send him like 2 videos, and I'll be like, "This is the inspo," and he's like, "Great." And so he like showed up. He watched those and then showed up with like, "All right, I want to do this, 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 and this," and just crushed them all. And I have 2 friends that I just recently met, just like 2 super cool, like they're Gen Zers and they dress cool. And I was like, yo, thank you, Jesus. They're just like so cool by themselves. And
Thank
one
you,
of them has
Jesus, for
just like,
being cool.
thank you, Jesus, for sending me cool friends. And one of them's a rapper and one of them's a stylist. And I was like, this couldn't be more perfect of a thing. And so yeah, rented a friend's old 1985 Mercedes um, convertible, and it was actually like mad cold that day, and driving in that convertible was absolutely terrible. But we had this convertible, and we went to one of my favorite neighborhoods in Seattle, and we posted up in front of one of my favorite houses in that neighborhood, and just did our shoot, and it worked out so well.
Did you name that collection?
Yes, the collection was called, all of our fall drops have been under the same name of From Jonah with Love.
From Jonah with Love. So when
Yeah.
people go across your IG or go to Jonah the Brand, it's jonahthebrand.com, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go and look for From Jonah with Love.
Yeah.
I mean, they can
Yeah.
look at everything, but specifically your Sistine Chapel.
My Sistine
Okay, I got
Chapel.
I got
Until
one
like next
question.
weekend, I have another shoot. And I'm literally just running it all back, but with a different car and different clothes.
Let's
And I think
go.
it's going to be even better.
It is. I believe it. Let's go. God's with you. One question though: did this latest From Jonah with Love go viral? Did you get 100 likes or more?
Oh, yeah. We went very viral in terms of the 100 like standard, which is
That's
great.
my new standard.
Yo, we got 100 likes. We out.
Viral. Everybody wants our stuff.
Except it doesn't count now because I use Instagram ads,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's not viral if you pay for it, right? Or is it
Uh,
still viral?
If it's 100 likes, it's viral, Corb. Those are the rules.
Yo, we went super duper viral.
Okay,
Very
so
expensive viral.
very expensive viral. Man, I'm sticking with 100 likes is viral from now on. Like that is my standard. When we post about Divine Persuasion Studio, we're trying to support churches with creative and art and thought leaders and nonprofits. We're like, hey, if we get 100 likes on this team, just so you all know, everybody in the room, 100 likes,
We're
we win.
viral. We don't worry about conversion. We worry about
Nah.
likes.
Yep.
I
That's
think
how it
that's a good
works.
takeaway, you know?
Yeah.
Like
All right.
likes are
See
the
you,
only
bro.
thing that matters.
Thank you for coming on the pod today. First episode ever. We're
Fake
ending with
exit.
it. Okay. So you acquired Bleecker and Green, a print studio,
Mhm.
since the original place that you were at on, was it Bleecker Street or was it literally on Bleecker and Green in Seattle?
No, that was just a name. Bleecker and Green is the apartment that I lived in New York.
Wow.
Was on Seneca Ave, and the cross streets were between Bleecker Street and Green Street.
Killer. So as I would love for you to give us a tour of the new Bleecker and Green studio, which also obviously Jonah is run out of. So
Yeah,
I don't know what it's going to sound like when you jump around, but it's worth it. And your studio is beautiful. And someday we'll actually record one of these inside the studio together, and
I
that'll be
can't
fun.
wait.
But
Let
in
me
the
get
meantime,
let me get this ready because
let's
I'm on a
take a peek.
tripod. But let's just do and remember that also clean is a relative term. Um, so
Two
this
things we
is
learned today. Clean is a relative term. 100 likes is viral.
true. Two things. So this is our like shipping and fulfillment. I'm on a tripod. Yeah, I feel like such a boomer, like with like a selfie stick. It feels
They outlawed
it's
those like everywhere. You can't take them in malls or theme parks
good.
anymore.
It's so embarrassing.
Oh wait, show us that the Jonah polo right there. The
Oh
long
yeah, this
sleeve.
is just one of
That
our
thing is sick.
yeah, from a little while back. This is just our like random, just random studio things. Whenever we have our like pop-ups, this is like all made and looks so cool with all the hats like lined up, and people love it. Take a lot of pictures.
I
This is
love it.
my newest addition. Just got
Hoop
that
dreams.
basketball rim. Um, yeah, just some studio things. Our little whiteboard. And then this is the like actual like print setup, print stuff. That's our conveyor dryer here. This is the like actual screen printing press.
Mm-hmm.
That is my little corner where I do all my fit videos.
Let's go.
And then this is, just more of the like washout booth type stuff. And so,
Yeah, you need a washout booth in screen printing. Just letting everybody know. Third lesson we've learned with Corbin today.
honestly, it helps so much.
Thank you for
I
the
used to
tour.
do I used to do a washout booth in my shower. And when I like in New York in my apartment, when I started screen printing in my guest bedroom, I would use my shower as my washout booth, and it just completely destroyed everything. Didn't get our deposit back, but whatever. Here we are.
Oh, that's so funny and
Brutal
terrible.
too.
I'm sure your wife Kristen was so happy about that.
Oh, so mad. I can't believe she let us buy this place after that like trauma of me destroying everything. But
Oh
we
man,
got it. We did it.
love it. So we're both working from the perspective of curating art so that people would
Hmm.
buy it, so that people would use it, so we could inspire people, motivate people. I know you and I both grew up in Christian homes. We've talked about this before, but faith is such an important part of why we do what we do. And I've always been inspired by you as a friend. And obviously, when we go through the high highs, we get to celebrate each other. When we go through the low lows, we get to cry, crying emojis for each other. Like, man, this happened. But appreciate you so much. One thing I want to talk with you about, and I think it'd be a fun discussion point with us, is what is it like for you to be a creator who does it from the background of like, I feel inspired by God in a sense. Like I do this because I have faith in Jesus and I want to
Hmm.
inspire people. I want to create beautiful things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just, I don't know, for me, the like, idea of like post rationalizing things and being able to be like, have an idea, and of course using discernment and wise counsel. I call you and ask you things and like, yo, is this a good idea, is this crazy? But like this idea of like something comes to my head, it's like, oh, thank you God, that's like that. I think that's a God idea, and I think that's the ideas that I get, being able to filter them and be like, dang, I think God gave this to me. And I think that he is allowing me the opportunity to execute on this and like figure out how to make this happen. Or like business ideas or design ideas, um, having that like premise to be able to be like, dang, I think that's from God, is
Mm.
just helps me so much and gives me that one thing like Jerry Lorenzo talks about all the time is conviction, and the like conviction behind what he's doing, of just like it can be so existential being, for me personally, being in like a clothing brand, because like you can just be like, yo, am I really just like selling t-shirts? Like is this really it? And just like these people, they don't care about the art, they just want this hat. Like I get like that. But like being able to be in relationship with Jesus and have that like conviction that I think is from God, of like, no, God's given me this idea, God's given me this business, God's given me these designs, he's given me all these things, and like this is for me, an opportunity for me that I get to execute on it, and I get to like, yo, we just got hoodies, custom hoodies for our brand, and they were so expensive. And I was like, yo, what a bummer. And it was a rough month of the print studio, because like the print studio funds the clothing brand. And the print studio didn't do that. It had like a rough month. It was December, which is just like down. Everyone is like getting ready for the holidays. Well, I decided to put in our biggest wholesale order of all time. And, just the math wasn't mathing. But like we got the hoodies, we did a shoot, we sold some hoodies, and just like, man, what a like this is one of our hoodies, and just like, thank God, like I was able to like execute this, and like I have this conviction of like I believe in this brand, and even if it's like rough, and even if this month isn't great, or this drop doesn't do as well as I thought it was going to, being able to have that conviction to keep me from getting so uh, this, I'm done with this, like this is not enough for me, this is not fulfilling for me. I don't get that way, because I have that conviction, and I have that like, no, God gave me this, and like what a dream that I'd get to try and figure this out, and he gave me this dream, and I get to make it work, and I get to see it to whatever it's going to be, and like I get
Hmm.
to try and execute on this and do the things that he's given me, the desires that he's given me, the joys that he's given me, the hobbies that he's given me, which is fashion and colors and proportions and all that stuff, that gets to be fulfilled in this dream that he's given me. And I get to try and execute on that more and more every single day. Long
Beautiful,
answer. I don't
bro.
even know if that like made sense, but I was processing that as I was saying it. So
It's so good, bro. It's
we'll see
so
how it
good.
goes.
Oh man, you're the best. I think it's so interesting to hear you talk about God gave it to me, and that, as you were saying that, I felt that, bro. Starting a company is not for the faint of heart. It is not. When you and I both, because it was right around the same time, I started Divine Persuasion Studio, got a couple co-founders in, Josh Villa, Esme Villa, shout out, got Rodrigo Kugnarski. There's a couple other teammates and different people, and it's so wild because I never could have imagined the pain it would take me under. And like you hear people talk about it's not easy, and obviously it, relatively speaking, and everybody has different ways to make an income, and I'm not here to espouse that business is impossible or that everyone should start a business either. I'm not on either end. But what I have realized is if I didn't have God, oh my goodness, I would be a lost cause.
It is
Like, bro,
unbelievable.
man,
They don't talk about it. that I feel like business owners didn't go hard enough to me. Which like I still would have had to like figure it out and be like, no, it's okay. I'm gonna do it and try it. But like, I really wish business owners would be like, no, you shouldn't do it. Like I legitimately think this is a bad idea. And
But
like, you have a phenomenal idea. You know, you're building your little audience. I'm proud of you. But like, it's not gonna be worth it. Even
you
though
said
it is, of course, but like it is unimaginable. But that like the double side at the exact same time of just like, oh my gosh, this is miserable. Like we're in kind of like a brutal season right now, trying to figure out the balance between the two, not allowing the print studio to get too busy to take away from the consistency that we need in Jonah, and
mm-hmm.
but also needing so much capital, because when you start like producing your own garments as opposed to just printing on blanks, which we did for 2 years, when you start producing your own garments, the cost is just like, it's just crazy. And it's all like, you put in your order, you have to pay for it all up front, and then you have to wait 30 days for them to make it, and then you have to sell it. And then if it doesn't sell out, you have to figure out how to backfill that. Is just like, it's just a crazy process that we're like figuring out in real time. But the other side of it, like I was just saying, like, man, what a dream that I'm in my print studio right now. Like, what a dream
Yeah.
that I have this hoodie that I love so much, and like I made it. Like, how fun, how crazy that people on the internet buy stuff that I make, or it's so crazy. Both sides at the same time. I heard, I was listening to this podcast from actually Donnie Nemias, and he
Mm-hmm.
was talking about how he feels cursed with a dream or something like that. I hope I
That's
didn't like
it.
mess that up. But like, yo, when he said that, I was like, amen. I am cursed with this conviction, cursed with this dream, cursed in the fact that I think that it can be what I want it to be one day, and that it's becoming that. But like, also, like, I can't escape it. I can't be like, all right, I'm done. Like Jonah's done. Bleak and Green, I can't be like, I'm done for sure. But like Jonah, I can't be like, yeah, we're calling this a wrap, because I believe in it and I have such a conviction for it that like he's given me these thoughts, giving me these dreams, giving me these ideas. It's worship for me to be able to figure out how to execute on it.
Hmm.
But like, man, I wouldn't mind being in push pay, in the Bay in push pay right now, even not making quota, and just like having a paycheck. Man, what a dream.
Yeah, it is funny. And on the subject of God, I feel when you see God intersect in your life as you step out to be a leader and to start your own business, I feel like, man, I've seen God and I've heard God, and I haven't necessarily heard his audible voice. Although at any time, God, I'm down. I hope I don't like wet myself in fear, but I'm down to hear your voice. Like, I could use some clarity today for the next steps in my business. But all that to say, I'm so intrigued by what you had said earlier, and we got to cut a clip out of it when you were talking about God gave me the designs, God gave me the ideas, because I think the other side, and you're kind of talking about this of being cursed with the dream, which is something you and I talked about, both inspired by Donnie, uh, definitely feel that way, where you go through like, for us, bringing churches onto a platform like, hey, if you have a tough time with your budget, if you have a tough time with bandwidth or buy-in from your creative team, or you just can't keep up, we'd love to help you. Let's create world-class art so that the gospel can be told beautifully in every local church across the globe, right? So like, we have
Hmm.
this vision, we're set, we're ready, and then you hit a couple speed bumps, right? Like clients not understanding the process or having to move on from team members because stuff changed in revenue, and it's just not easy, bro. It's not easy. And so
It's
I
not easy.
find kind of what you're talking about for my life. I feel, and I don't want it to be a balancing act, but at times it feels like a balancing act where I'm going, okay, in one hand, I have this wild dream I feel like God gave me, and he gave me some abilities to go and achieve it. But I
Hmm.
also have to deal with this everyday reality of a lot of really hard work, hard decisions, measuring back on the decisions I made that were poor, and sometimes feeling the immense pain. of leading something, of going out. And, you know, I love what Theodore Roosevelt said, the man in the arena. Obviously, Tom Brady and others have made it really popular, but like, I would rather be, and I think you and I have decidedly gone in this direction. I would rather be someone who loses but went all in and went for it than someone who, and I know we both have talked about this, like, man,
Mm-hmm.
the good old days at push pay. And not that it was necessarily easy, but working for someone else and not venturing out to do your own thing. But I would rather be willing to risk it all for the sake of what I feel like God called me to do and
Yeah.
gifted me to do than sit on the sidelines and wait. So if there's any creatives out there, if you're thinking about this, if you're like, man, I don't know if I should do it, I think that there's one guy, and Corbin and I we both have this guy in us, and we'd be like, sit down with you for coffee and be like, don't do it. But the other side is like, if you have this dream and you feel like God gave it to you, go for it. See what
Yeah.
happens. See what happens.
Yeah. And of course that like joke was being a little facetious too. Like
Absolutely.
I would, but the greatest thing, freaking discernment. Actually, I don't know if I can say freaking. Sorry.
No, you can
I know
say
you got some
freaking.
churches in the South. They didn't.
You can
um,
say freaking. Okay, fourth
um,
lesson from Corbin Crosby.
freaking. Um, discernment and self awareness is like, oh, thank God that I have it. And
Mm,
thank God that I have people in my life like you, like my wife, that also have it and can be like, hey, that's a bad idea. Or, hey, you shouldn't do this. Or, hey, I don't know about this. And also me being able to filter. I have literally 10,000 ideas in my head, but the discernment being able to filter like, oh, I think that's a good one. I think that's from God. It's going to be really hard, but I'm going to figure it out. And like business, starting a business in that sense of like, it's going to be terrible, but if you have discernment and you have self-awareness of like I think that I am building a cool brand and I think that I make really cool
you are.
garments. And that's probably my like wife's conviction is like if I wasn't doing that, then she'd be like, all right, we need to like wrap this thing up. But she's
Wrap
like,
it up.
okay, this is cool. I understand what you're building. I think it's a beautiful thing that you're building. It's hard right now for both of us, but I believe in your dream and I believe that God gave you that dream. And so if you're a business owner, if you have a desire to do something, there's going to be ebbs and flows of everything and things, anything in life is going to be hard at times. But if you have that like self-awareness of like, no, this is what God told me to do, or I'm really good at this thing, it makes everything better. Like
It
as
does.
hard as this season can be, it's like, but this is like a cool brand. Like we're gonna get through it. I actually listened to you one time. You did a chapel in San Diego, I think it was, and you like this is like one of my favorite things ever.
You're the
And
best.
it wasn't necessarily like anything like profound. Like I go so hard on like this wasn't actually that good of it. No, I'm just kidding. But like
Like, you're
you
actually
didn't
not a
say
very good
anything
communicator.
crazy, but your timing in this, I'm like, yo, that was like, like freaking can't say that. It really got me, and it like got me emotional when I've listened back to this part so many times, and you're just talking about like what do you want to do, and like what are you good at, and are the things that you do they align? The things that you're good at, do they align with what you want to do? And you were like sitting on a stool, and you're like, no, really think about it. Like, what are you good at? Does that align? And you had these pauses and I was like really just like in my house like, oh my gosh, does that wait, I want to do it's just like it was so good. I like texted you after. It's like, yo, that timing was the most brilliant thing ever. It was just such a good communicator thing that you did. But that what you said also is so like, what are you good at? Does that align? And I think I'm good at design and I'm making a clothing brand. So it's like, all right, let's do this. Hopefully.
Bro, you're the best. You're
Sorry, a
amazing
little
at what you
tangent
do.
there.
No, I love it. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk. And thank you for the kind words, bro. Uh, we both get to kind of be each other's biggest cheerleaders in this journey of, starting a business and watching it flourish, and also watching, the peaks and the valleys, everything in
Hmm.
between. So I appreciate your kind words, man. You're the freaking best. I said freaking. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness. We need to recap the lessons. Okay, so one more time, if you're still listening at this point, if we have some listeners, uh, 100 likes is viral. What else we got? You can't say freaking.
No freaking. Um,
Man, I lost all the lessons. We'll have to recap it though.
Something about selfie sticks, right?
Yeah, something about how they're for boomers. You said, but I said that they're outlawed everywhere now.
Boomers.
What's a project coming up that you're working on that you're excited about?
Oh, our next drop for sure. It's one of our biggest. It's not our biggest. It is just one I'm really excited about, honestly. A lot of um, garments that we've produced, like developed ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and produced that I'm really proud of and I think are really cool. And it's just kind of like the like actual beginning of a new season with our brand. It feels like where we went from the like Instagram streetwear brand where we just print cool graphics onto blanks to like actually feeling like I'm like designing and developing garments and silhouettes and things and
Mm-hmm.
making like an actual like fashion brand. Feels really cool, and so I'm gonna try to do a really cool like campaign and rollout for it this month.
It's
And
the best.
yeah,
What is this one going to be called? Do you have a name for the collection?
I don't know yet.
It's
I
called I
don't
don't
know.
know yet. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Honestly, that's not a bad. Like anytime it comes to building a brand, building a business, I don't know yet is a pretty good tagline.
It is pretty good.
I'll figure it out, but
Like your
I
clients
don't know
ask you,
yet.
When will this product, when will this design, when will it arrive? I don't know.
How about when I'm sending it to you, I'll let you know.
How about you'll find out when it's in your inbox? I think the worst client care ever. I'm going to throw a couple more questions at you before we end. I think you were kind of talking about it, and again, thank you for your kind words, encouraging me when I spoke at that chapel. But I'm still intrigued by that, and I think that's a lesson I'm still learning. Because I know that you feel this way. I think we have some friends who text us and cheer us on, like as if we have arrived. And there's a sense in me where I'm like, dude, thank you. Like I built a business with our team from an idea into something that services churches all across the US and Australia. And I have to admit, like, that is pretty cool. And most of our
Very
clients are
cool.
blown away by the product, and it's better for their budget, and it helps their creative team, it helps their church tell the story of the gospel. And for you can sit in an actual physical space that you get to own, and you run two businesses out of it. And so there's the tension between being so thankful, being so grateful for being in the position you are, while also recognizing I have to sift through all my ideas, sift through all the things that I might want to do in the future. So I think a cool question to other creatives, other business people, other entrepreneurs, whether you're in the faith space or not, would be, how do you specifically work through that level of discernment you've been talking about all episode today? What are some tricks or some tips that you have? Lesson number 5 from Corbin Crosby: working through discernment in running a company, starting a
Working
brand.
through discernment. I don't know. I think that the biggest thing working through it is being is understanding that there's going to be like wins and losses.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm like, yeah, that was I had that idea, we executed it and it worked and like thank God it was so cool. And then sometimes it doesn't, but like
Mm-hmm.
never beating myself up too much when it doesn't. And just like this might be like toxic to say. I don't know, so forgive me if it is, but
You're
just like
forgiven.
taking the L's on the chin and just like whatever. Like I don't know, we that didn't do well or we took this L, this didn't happen, this didn't work out. but whatever. There's another win right around the corner, or there may be another win in that L. Like they're just like being able. I think that's something that I have been. I think the Lord has helped me. The Lord, I hate that I said the Lord. I
I
think
love that
Jesus
you said
helped
the
me
Lord.
with that.
Jesus.
He's helped me with that of just like I'm able to stay, and I think this is something I prayed for, being able to stay like even keeled and even tempered of just like never letting the wins get me too up and never letting the losses get
Mm,
me too down. And like we've had some really big wins, but I never let that, well, except for that like one post that did 100 likes, I let that get to my head. But like I'm never just like, all right, we good, we did it, and sit back. It's just like, and that also like you have to understand when to like rest and all that stuff. I get that, but I never get too high on the wins and I never get too low on the L's, and I understand that I have to take L's to get wins, and that's just what it is, and that's kind of the fun part of it, because like as cliche and as annoying as it is, there's so many lessons when you take the L's, and there's so many things that can come from that. Like we have like the print studio side of things. I am still learning every day how to be a better screen printer, and it is such a hard thing. Honestly, it's such a niche thing, and I take L's pretty much every print job. I'm not gonna lie to you. Unless I've done your print job, if you're listening, then I didn't take any L's on yours. But there's always something that's just like, oh my gosh, how annoying. Like this is an L. I lost money on this. I lost a garment, whatever it is. But there's always like I see the tangible other side of it. It was like, man, I took a L. I'm gonna use a niche example of in the way that this ink was laid on this garment because I used this type of print stroke, and I just lost 15 garments that I now have to replace for the customer. That's going to cost me $20 for each garment. And wow, what an L. But I legitimately in that moment will never make this mistake again because now I understand what print stroke I need for this type of garment to get a good print from. And I won't make that mistake again. And I learned something in that moment. And that's how I've tried to frame everything in the business with the clothing brand, with the print, with life of just like, L, but whatever. It'll get me to a win. It'll get me to, there's going to be a lesson in it and whatever. I think if that answers the question.
it does, man. I think we've talked about this a lot offline, and we got a lot to catch up on even today. Let's talk. But I think, and obviously this is there's so many wonderful woman creators, but just talking because we both happen to be men. I think what you're
Hmm.
talking about, like taking one on the chin. I was thinking the other day I was working through something really difficult, and I'm tempted to complain or to have some self pity, like, oh man, I should have been better, man. Oh shucks, like like so upset with
Shucks.
yourself. We can say shucks; it's allowed. I asked.
Yeah, they say that in the South.
Holy Spirit, can we say it? Um,
That's
but for real, I do listen to the
the
Holy
first
Spirit. That
time you
was
hear
a
the
joke.
audible voice. It's like, no.
You cannot say freaking, and you cannot say shucks. All right, no, but for real, I'm so glad to hear you say that. It actually encourages my spirit because I think that as I follow Jesus, which is the most important thing in the world to me, as I raise a family, as I have a healthy marriage, and as I lead a company into the future, and we have employees and we have clients and we got things we got to take care of. I think one lesson that I'm even learning right now in real time in a new way is just to be a grown man, or in another way to say, just be a full grown up,
Hmm.
admit where mistakes have been made, or admit where losses happened, or admit, and first to yourself. It's like, okay, this was a mistake, and then refusing to, and I love what Paul says, I can't remember the reference, but to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ Jesus. I was listening to a message recently to get some encouragement, and I'm so captured by, no pun intended, that passage, which is kind of what you're talking about. Like you say, okay, this mistake was made, or this thing happened, and it was a genuine L for my company, it was an L for me, but instead of letting it put me into like a ruinous thought process. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity I have because the Spirit of Jesus is living in me. I'll take that thought captive, recognize the problem, and I'm going to make some changes and move on. And this is no longer going to be a part of my daily narrative.
Yeah. That's big. No longer let it be a part of my daily narrative.
That's the struggle for me.
That's so hard.
I'm starting to learn to take the shots, you know? What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan to get socked in the face. It's like, I'm starting to learn to take those hits, but not allowing those hits to stay in my mind every day. It's something I can't do without Jesus, man. I don't know about you.
Oh man, that's so real. It's also a side of it that I didn't touch on and I don't talk about because I'm not that good at it either. Like in the moment, I'll be like, oh my gosh, let's keep moving. But then 3 days later, I'll be like, oh my God, why did I do that? And it'll ruin my whole day. And I'll be like at dinner with my wife and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, oh my God, I printed these shirts. I lost 15 shirts. She's like, bro, wasn't that like a week ago?
You're like crying while you're at dinner.
No, you don't understand. We can't pay for dinner because I had to buy new shirts. He's like, oh, okay, I understand now.
I get it. Oh,
I get
man. It's the best. You're excited for this upcoming project.
Mm-hmm.
We're both
What are you excited for?
Oh, man. Regards to life, really excited for this season of child rearing, bro. I got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old, which is crazy. Wild. Every day is an adventure.
You set that up like you were about to like pregnancy announcement.
Oh no. And to let you all know.
Like, whoa.
My ginormous fan base has been waiting to hear.
I thought you were going to tell me on the podcast.
Oh, let's go.
Messed up.
That's why I had you come on today to let you know Amy's pregnant. No, she's not. But
it's confetti into the camera.
In life, I'm really learning, and through the Spirit of Jesus, He's helping me, especially as someone who runs a company and leads people. Like, it can get really distracting to think about things and come up with ideas and try to make plans and figure it all out. That sometimes I don't feel like I miss out on my kids because I try to be present, but my mind is wandering. And so one thing that excites me every day is to love my babies, to love my wife, and to be present. But as it pertains to business, because that's really why you were asking, you know, man, I'm excited.
Also, though, can I like just interject and say that your kids think you are the coolest guy in the whole world, and that's like, I think it's the coolest thing about you is how cool your kids think you are. I love it. Every time I'm with you and with all your kids and Amy, they just all think you're so cool, and I just think that's so cool.
Bro, that warms my heart.
So I think you're doing a great job. Because I think if anyone is going to, like, if there's going to be any tell that you're not doing a great job, it'd be like if your kids were like a little distant or like Amy was just like always rolling her eyes. But they just like all adore you so much.
Oh, man, thank you. I feel like,
I feel like I'm one of your kids when I'm with you guys. I spent time with you guys in Arizona, like, was that last summer?
Yeah, well, you came twice.
I was just like riding around everywhere, just like eating the Peter Rabbit pouches with Ev.
No, and then you guys got those Noka packets from Costco, and you're like, bro, can I have another one of those? I'm like, sure. And then a week later, I see you. I don't know if we were FaceTiming or you on Instagram, and you got a whole pack of the Noka packets. I sent in my kids' lunch to school, and you're like, bro, these are a bomb.
Bro, last time I was at your house, Amy has such a system of like, all right, Ev, you're only getting these many packets a day, and so we have this rationed out, and like, I know when I need to buy, and just me eating like 4 or 5 a day. Like, Amy, can I have another Noka packet? She's like, sure, you 30-year-old man, I guess.
Man. This is the best.
That's funny.
God's good, bro.
So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. I think we're so young. I mean, I'm 32. Are you 30 or 31?
I just turned 30 like last week.
Oh yeah. Happy birthday again, my guy.
Crazy.
It's interesting. I don't think about like the legacy I'm going to leave very often because I feel like I think they say like the average male doesn't even hit their apex in their career till they're like 39 or 40. So we got time. But all that to say, when I think about like
it's gonna be a long 9 years, bro.
It's gonna be What do we got to do in the meantime? God, where's your audible voice?
Can I just go back to push pay until then
Uh,
and then come back to the brand at
let's go.
39?
Oh my God. But as I think about legacy, I really want to be the kind of friend, and I think this is part of the reason why I feel so connected to you and why we're so connected to each other, because we want to do great things in business and we want to touch the world because we just feel like we got that dream. But I admire your faith and your persistence to love your wife, figuring out what the next season is for building a family and really caring about people. Like, you're one of the most present guys I've ever known. Absolutely. Like, when I'm with you, and there's no shame in it. I mean, everybody's got their phone and nobody knows what, somebody else is going through, but like, I just appreciate how present you are. Like, conversational, kind, empathetic. You mean the world to me, bro.
Dang, it means a lot. You know that, have you ever seen that meme of like the worst texters are the best in person people or something like that?
No, tell me more.
Well, it's just like if you're talking to someone and they're so bad, like they don't ever answer their phone, if they don't ever text back, they're probably really great in person and really present in person. And I feel like that's so me.
Yeah,
But it's like, it's so funny because we live so far away from each other and we really don't talk often. But like, you're one of my best friends in life. But
absolutely. I
I
think
haven't talked to you in a
too.
couple months, I feel. Nah,
Yeah,
that's kind of OD. Maybe a month.
yeah. I think too, and this part of like being in your 30s, like the friendship that you have, obviously like teenage years or college years or even like mid 20s, it starts to shift as you go like full career, full family marriage mode, to where like the same interactions you used to have, being 19, 20, even 25, whatever. And not to say that it's can't be different, but what I found, and I think we've talked about this before, it just changes. Like, you're not hanging with homies and getting pizza every Friday anymore. Just not how life works. Like, you got to go home, you got to get sleep, you got to rest, you got to get up, you
Hmm.
got to work, you got to provide. So I think it just changes. And I appreciate the friendships I have with you and other friends where it's not like, hey, we need to talk every week. But every time we do talk, and I know this is something that's popular just in great friendships, but it's always deep. It's always meaningful. We always point each other to Jesus. We can always be
And we are just
honest.
like that. We're like those two friends
Oh, yeah.
that when we're talk, we're like, it's no surface level. It's like, so 1 to 10, how depressed are you lately? It's like, all right, I'm a 9 also. Okay, let's talk about it and deep dive everything.
It's the best, and I love how much our wives laugh about like our best buddy adventures. Like, we're junior hires, just going to thrift stores and libraries and movies and PF Chang's.
What a time.
So good. Bro, thank you so much for being on the pod with me today. It means the world. I love you dearly. If you made it this far on the podcast, look up what's the best way for people to look you up? I know I've said it a couple times, but it's better coming from you.
Jonah the brand on Instagram, I think is the best representation of us. So yeah, Jonah
Perfect.
the brand.
And if you are looking for screen printing and you want someone who really cares and is really talented, Bleecker and Green.
Bleecker and Green and embroidery.
And embroidery. Don't forget about that part. Lesson 6, and embroidery.
Yo, I love embroidery. It's so easy. I never
Bro,
take any L's in embroidery.
never. It doesn't happen. You don't
Yeah,
have
it's
to
a
learn.
machine. It's great.
Bro, I love you dearly. Thank you so much for being on.
I love
Appreciate
you. I
you
had
more
such
than
a
you
great
know.
time.
So fun.
I'm so excited for the mini seasons of DPS Radio. I think this is such a good idea. And I've wanted you to do this for such a long time. And so I'm
Thank you,
so
man.
glad you're doing it.
Thank you. Episode 1 in the books. Love you, bro. See you soon.
Love you.